Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nur Hanis Akila binti Yahya. My metric number 1231432. In the research, we have 3 independent variables acting as predictors and 1 dependent variable as the outcome. The independent variables are part-time job, coping techniques, and study factors. We want to see how these 3 elements directly affect our dependent variable, which is students' performance. This study was conducted among working students at the Faculty of Leadership and Management, FKP, University Science Islam Malaysia, USIM. Next, I would like to present the 3 research questions that guide this study. There are 3 research questions in this study. The first research question examines the influence of part-time job on student performance among working students at FKP USIM. The second research question examines the influence of coping techniques on student performance. Finally, the third research question examines the influence of study factors on student performance among working students at FKP USIM. Based on this research question, 3 research objectives were formulated. The first objective is to examine the influence of part-time job on student performance. The second objective is to examine the influence of coping techniques on student performance. Lastly, the third objective is to examine the influence of study factors on student performance among working students at FKP USIM. Finally, based on the research objective, 3 research hypotheses were developed. The first hypothesis states that there is a significant influence of part-time job on student performance. The second hypothesis states that there is a significant influence of coping techniques on student performance. The third hypothesis states that there is a significant influence of study factors on student performance among working students at FKP USIM. That's all from me.
Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. My name Nur Anis Umaira binti Muhammad Saufi and my metric number 1231466. Based on the table 3.0, this analysis presents the descriptive statistic for the 4 computed variables PG mean, CT mean, SF mean, and SP mean. The analysis involved 260 respondents and there were no missing data. First, CT mean recorded the highest mean score, which is 3.43 with a low standard deviation of 0.36. This indicates that respondents generally gave high and consistent responses. Second, PG mean obtained a mean of 3.31 with a standard deviation of 0.41. This also shows that the respondents' answers were relatively consistent and close to the average. Next, SP mean recorded a mean of 3.26 but it had the highest standard deviation of 0.84. This means respondents' answers were more varied and the wide range of scores may indicate the presence of an outlier. Lastly, SF mean had the lowest mean score, which is 2.95 with a standard deviation of 0.59, showing a moderate level of variation among respondents. In conclusion, CT mean and PG mean received higher and more consistent responses, while SF mean had the lowest average score, and SP mean showed the greatest variation in respondents' response.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Nur Nadira binti Muhammad Sobri. My metric number is 1231407. So I will continue with descriptive analysis and frequencies. For the table 2.0, the frequencies analysis showed that there were no missing data among all respondents. This indicate that all collected responses were complete and suitable for further statistical analysis. For the second, table 2.1 showed the distribution of respondents by gender. A total of 260 respondents participate in this study. Among them, 219 respondents, which is 84.2%, were female, while 41 respondents, which is 15.8%, were male. This indicates that the majority of the respondents were female students who make up the largest proportion of the sample. For the table 2.2, show the distribution of respondents based on their academic program. A total of 260 students participate in this study from 5 academic programs. For the first one, the Dakwah and Academic Management program had a higher number of respondents with 91 students, which is 35.0%. This was followed by Communication and Akidah with 51 students, which is 19.6% each. And then Counseling contribute 34 students, which is 13.1%, while New Media had the lowest number of respondents with 33 students, which is 12.7%. Next, table 2.3 present the distribution of respondents based on the year of study. A total of 260 students participate in this study. The majority of respondents were second year students with 164 students, which is 63.1%, while 96 students, which is 36.9%, were first year students. Overall, the findings indicate that second year students make up the largest proportion of the sample, while both year groups were represented, providing perspective from different stages of university study. Next, table 2.4 present the distribution of respondents based on their grade point average, which is GPA. The majority of respondents had a GPA of 3 until 3.49 with 161 students, which is 61.9%. This was followed by 2.5 until 2.99 with 54 students, which is 20.8%. Meanwhile, for 43 students, which is 60.5%, achieve a GPA of 3.5 until 4, while only 2 students, which is 0.8%, had a GPA below 2.49. So overall, the finding indicate that most respondents demonstrate satisfactory academic performance, with the majority achieving a GPA between 3 and 3.49. Next, reliability test. For the table 1, table 4.1.1 present the item total statistic for the part-time job. PJ1 construct which consists of 10 items. The corrected item total corrections value range from negative 0.143 to 0.452. The item "I do not have time to do my assignment after my part-time working hours" recorded the highest corrected item total correlation of 0.452, indicating the strongest relationship with the overall construct. One item show a relatively weak relationship with the construct, namely I get nothing from my part-time job in terms of experience. Although removing the item would slightly increase the Cronbach's alpha value, the reliability coefficient would still remain below the recommended threshold of 0.70. For the second table, 4.2.1 present the item total statistic for the copy technique CT1 construct, which consists of 10 items. The corrected item total correlation value range from negative 0.175 to 0.428. The item, even though there are risks, I think there is a realistic hope of finding a better future, recorded the highest corrected item total correlation of 0.425, indicating the strongest relationship with the overall construct. Two items show relatively weak relationship with the construct, namely I often not attending class because of the contact from a job, and in dealing with working and studying, I am unsure whether I can handle it. Although removing this item will slightly increase the Cronbach's alpha value, the reliability coefficients will still remain below the recommended threshold of 0.70. Next, table 4.3.1 present the item total statistic for the study factor SF1 construct, which consists of 5 items. The corrected item total correlation value range from 0.219 to 0.566. The item I feel working while studying has affected by academic performance recorded the highest corrected item total correlation of 0.566. Indicating the strongest relationship with the overall construct, the item I think working less will lead the higher academic achievement, recorded the lowest corrected item total correlation. Although removing this item will slightly increase the Cronbach's alpha value, the reliability coefficient will still remain below the recommended threshold of 0.70. And the next, which is the last one, is table 4.4.1. Present the item total statistic for the study performance construct, which consists of 5 items. The corrected item total correlation value range from 0.066 to 0.302. indicating that several items have a weak relationship with the overall construct. The item I cannot concentrate in class because of fatigue from my part-time job recorded the highest corrected item total correlation of 0.302, while I tried to apply my knowledge and skill in problem-solving activities in class recorded the lowest value of 0.066. So removing the item getting a good grade in study is the most satisfying item for me. Will increase the Chromebats alpha from 0.244 to 0.532. However, this value is still below the recommended threshold of 0.07.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nur Shanazira binti Muhammad Sabri. My matric number 1231419. Now I will present the correlation analysis of this study. Pearson correlation analysis was conducted to determine the strength and direction of the relationship between the independent variables, namely part-time job, PJ mean, copy techniques, CT mean, and study factors SF mean, with the dependent variable, student performance, SP mean. Based on the table, all variables have positive and statistically significant relationship as all the p-values are below 0.05. This means that when one variable increases, the related variable also tends to increase. As we can see, figure 5.1 presents the scatter plot between student performance and copying techniques. Most of the data points are clustered together, indicating a positive but relatively weak relationship. We can also observe one extreme outlier where one responder recorded a much higher student performance score than the others. Next, figure 5.2 shows the relationship between student performance and part-time job. The scattered pattern of the data points indicates a weak positive relationship, which is consistent with the correlation coefficient of 0.213. Alright, next, figure 5.3 illustrates the relationship between study factors and student performance. Compared with the previous figure, the data points show a clearer positive trend, although there is still one extreme outlier. Most of the observation move in the same direction. This supports the Pearson correlation result, where study factors have the strongest relationship with student performance, with a correlation coefficient of R equals 0.307. Alright, next, figure 5.4 presents the relationship between part-time job and copying techniques. The data points are more evenly distributed and there are no noticeable extreme outliers. This finding supports the Pearson correlation analysis, which identified these two variables as having the stronger relationship in this study, which are equal 0.353. And lastly, figure 5.5 shows the relationship between part-time job and study factors. The data are widely distributed with no significant outliers. This pattern indicates a weak but positive relationship, which is consistent with the correlation coefficient of R equals 0.184. In conclusion, the correlation analysis shows that all three independent variables have positive relationship with the student performance. Among them, student factors show the strongest relationship with student performance, followed by part-time job and copying technique. So, this suggests that students' study-related factors play a more important role in influencing their academic performance than the other variables examined in this study. Alright, that's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nur Munira Atira binti Mansur. My matric number 1231438. So I will present about the simple regression. So in this section, the regression analysis conduct to examine the influence of PJ mean, CT mean, and SF mean on the dependent variable. Based on table 6.1, the correlation coefficient is 0.365, indicating a moderate positive relationship between the independent variable and the dependent variable. So the R square value is 0.133, which means that 13.3% of the variation in SP mean can be explained by PJ mean, CT mean, and SF mean. Meanwhile, the adjusted R square is 0.123, suggesting that the model remains fairly consistent after accounting for the number of predictors included in the analysis. Next, table 6.2 presents the ANOVA result. The F value is 13.124 with a significant value of 0.000, which is less than 0.05. This indicates that the regression model is statistically significant, meaning that the independent variable collectively have a significant effect on SP mean. Next, table 6.3 shows the contribution of each independent variable. First, PJ mean has a coefficient value of 0.241 and a significance value of 0.061. Since the p-value is greater than 0.05, PJ mean is not a significant predictor of SP mean. Second, CT-mean has a coefficient value of 0.298 with a significance value of 0.043. So this indicates that CT-mean has a significant positive effect on SP-mean. Finally, SF-mean has a coefficient value of 0.381 and a significance value of 0.000. So this shows that SF-mean is the strongest and most influential predictor in the model. Next, Table 6.4 provides information about the model's prediction accuracy. The predicted values range from 2.3913 to 3.9913 with an average value of 3.2615. The residual have a mean close to 0, which is expected in a good regression model. However, some larger residual value indicate that there are still a few prediction errors. Overall, the models demonstrate an acceptable level of accuracy. The histogram of standardized residual is used to assess the normality assumption. The mean is approximately 0 and the standard deviation is close to 1, indicating that the residual are properly standardized. Therefore, the histogram supports the assumption of normality required for regression analysis. The scatter plot is used to examine the assumption of linearity and homoscedasticity. The points are randomly distributed without any clear pattern, suggesting that the relationship between the variable is linear and that the variance of residual remains constant. Therefore, the regression assumptions are satisfied and the model is considered appropriate. In conclusion, the regression model is statistically significant and explains 13.3% of the variance in SP-mean. Among the three predictors, SF-mean is the strongest predictor, followed by CT-mean, while PJ-mean does not have a statistically significant effect on SP-mean. Thank you.
Now, let us move on the actual findings and the final conclusion of our study. To begin with, we successfully collected data from a total of 260 respondents. Our descriptive analysis revealed that the majority of them are second-year female students coming from the Dakwah and Islamic Management program. Generally, they maintain a very satisfactory academic performance, with most students achieving a grade point average range between 3.00 and 3.49. When we look at the main analysis, the correlation results show that all three independent variables have a positive relationship with student result. Furthermore, the regression analysis showed that these three factors collectively explain 13.3% variance in student performance. Looking at the predictors individually, study factors emerged as the most significant contributor to academic success, followed closely by coping techniques. This means that hypothesis 3 and hypothesis 2 are fully accepted. On the other hand, part-time jobs show a positive influence but was not statistically significant in this model, which means hypothesis 1 is rejected. In conclusion, this study highlights that a working student's academic success heavily relies on having structure, study conditions, and using effective coping strategies to handle stress, while working part-time definitely gives good benefits like work experience and financial support. Students must always prioritize their study practices to balance both roles successfully. Finally, because our model explains 13.3% of the variance, we highly recommend that future research should consider adding other important variables. Factors such as time management, student motivation, financial stress, and social support will definitely help us get a much more comprehensive understanding of working students in higher education. Thank you very much for your time. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.